All right, the next item on our agenda this evening is the consent agenda, and we have 5 items for consideration. I think we can consolidate these. The first 3, the item A, approval of minutes from June 8th, the regular session, warrants G425, G426, R223, R224, R225, and warrants L42 and 43. I think we all can participate in that, so I'll call for a motion to approve item A, B, and C. Mr. Talbot, second, Mrs. Burns. All those in favor? The next item on our consent agenda is warrants for payroll, lump sum payroll for June 15th, 2016. Again, I think all of us, Mr. Talbot, motion, seconded by Mrs. Bonish. All those in favor? Thank you. And finally, warrant CB 16. I'll call for a motion to approve warrant CB 16, please. Mrs. Bonish, thank you. Mr. Talbot, thank you for second. All those in favor? 3 and 1 abstain. Mrs. Burns. Thank you. All right, our next item is the superintendent's report.
Thank you. I don't have a lot to report since school is not in session, other than to report that the last day of school has come and gone. Friday, June 17th was the last day. It was a half day and went very smoothly. Sounds like kids are home having a good time. Summer camps have begun. You might see a lot of activity here on the campus of Wilmington High School, so it's great to have those summer camps here. In addition, we have a great deal of professional development going on for our staff. We have staff from the Early Childhood Center and CARES doing responsive classroom training, about 30 or so staff members doing that. We've got 20 staff members who participated yesterday and today in the mental health first aid training. We have staff participating in the SEI, Sheltered English Immersion Endorsement Training with Sue McDonald. We have teams from multiple grade levels and curriculum areas doing curriculum mapping work. And next week, from Monday through Wednesday, we have our second cohort of teachers who will be participating in the professional learning communities training. So lots of great stuff going on. I might even be missing some stuff. This is typical in the last 2 weeks before folks jet off for the 4th of July holiday and into their summer vacation. So very appreciative for the PD providers as well as for the participants for taking the time to really focus on their professional growth and development.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I don't believe we have any items under old business, so moving right along to new business. And the first item is one of my favorite parts of our school committee meeting, when we get an opportunity to honor those people with some special awards this evening. And we have a certificates of accommodation, please. First of all, we'd like to commend John Carroll, who's with us this evening. And we have 3 people that were involved in literally saving the life of one of our middle school students. So, John Carroll. Also, our assistant principal at the middle school, Mr. Dan O'Brien. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here this evening, but Melissa Alexa was also involved. And then also this evening, we wanted to recognize our school resource officer at the middle school, Anthony Fiore, for all that you have done for our middle school students and families this year. Thank you very much.
Tweet it. This isn't a registry picture.
Thank you very much. I'm getting my exercise this evening. And also, we have another special presentation this evening. At its 50th Annual Institute Conference in Brewster this May, our very own superintendent, Mary DeLye, was recognized by MASBO, and that's the Massachusetts Association of School Business Officers, for the President's Award. And we are going to have a special presentation this evening by the company that presents the award, and we have Maggie Curry with us from Rizzo, and she would like to make a special presentation to Mary this evening. Please.
Well, Mary, thank you so much. On behalf of Rizzo, this is a check for $1,000 to your school district. We appreciate your support, and we're very pleased with it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anybody wants to see it? It's a very lovely award as well, so thank you to Rizzo for something a very beautiful piece of hardware to grace the walls of my office. I really appreciate it, but more than anything, I appreciate what it stands for. My time with MASBO was very important to me, and certainly responsible for where I am today in large part, so it means a lot to me. And this donation I very much appreciate, and already had started to have some conversations, and if the school committee would support me in this, what I'd like to do with this funding is to use it to support our students who would like to attend Special Olympics. We had 6 students this year, and I feel like there are a lot more students in Wilmington who would love to avail themselves, and sometimes it's something as simple as a $200 bus fee that keeps them from doing that. So I'd like to use this to offset the cost so that we can have maybe 18 kids instead of 6 kids next year attend the Special Olympics. So
That sounds great. I think I see lots of nodding heads, so that's wonderful. Thank you for the
absolutely.
suggestion.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Maggie, for joining us. Appreciate it. All right, next item of business this evening are our student handbook annual presentation, and I think we have Linda Peters here from the high school. Linda, would you like to go first?
Hey, everybody. Most of the changes I've summarized, and they are really more an update to our handbook. We have added several policies that are approved school committee policies. The electronic device use policy, the acceptable use policy, and the social media policy. Those are added in the front of our handbook. There are other policies that are updated in the more towards the end of the handbook, and that would be the updated discrimination and harassment grievance procedure. And we have an updated non-discriminatory policy as well, and we have added information related to truancy and attendance. The other changes we made, and they're really very much more just words. We added a documented college visit as a reason for an excused absence to our list of reasons for excused absences. That was recommended by the School Advisory Council. They had asked why that wasn't part of an excused absence. We always had excused it, but it wasn't documented, so. We also have on page 32, there was a question regarding school IDs, and students do lose them on occasion, and I guess there needed to be some clarification as to how they would actually replace them. So we just included that they should see the assistant principal for the replacement ID. Our next change, again, is a wording change. We have a policy related to cheating and plagiarism. We just called it academic dishonesty. So we just made a change there. On page 39, there is a slight change to withdrawing from a course. We used to withdraw students up to 4 weeks. With the schedule the way it is, we can't allow any more than a 2-week period for choosing to withdraw from a course. And that's because when they enter or enroll into another course, they would be much further into it after 2 weeks because of the way our schedule is with the 84-minute block. And we have clarified that if they are withdrawn after that date, it is reflected on the transcript as a withdraw with a W. On page 44, we made a change, again in wording. Some of the consequences that we have in place for some levels of discipline were added community service hours, and the School Advisory Council felt that community service is more of a positive thing, and they didn't want to call a discipline that was adding community service as community service, so they wanted to call it disciplinary service, so. And from 48 to 51, I think there's really only 2 places where we're just referring to the chemical health and electronic device policy for any of those infractions. On page 72, again, recommended by the School Advisory Council. I don't think it's ever been noted how we actually assign guidance counselors, so it is noted here that they are assigned on an alphabetical basis, and that they do keep the same guidance counselor for 4 years. Doreen Crow, our nurse leader, did make some changes to the health service information on pages 74 to 79. We have added a list of expectations and consequences for participation in dances and extracurricular activities. That's on pages 85 and 86. We used to have a dance contract that every student had to sign before he or she could attend a dance, and now this is going to be part of the handbook sign-off so that we don't have another piece of paper to collect or another form to collect. But it is really what the dance contract actually stated. So it's just in the handbook as opposed to a separate form. And I think those are the only changes. We didn't make any changes to policies. We are working on a list of positive behaviors and expectations that we are, the School Advisory Council has started the work on it. I have asked teachers for input, and I have a lot of input on how we are going to set our expectations on what respect looks like at Wilmington High School. And that's what we'll be working on next year to add to this.
Mrs. Burns?
I had one quick question pertaining to the contract, the dance consequence. The first expectation is that students must be in compliance with the attendance policy the day of the activity or they will not be admitted. How can that be enforced? With all the students, I just don't know, how can you enforce that knowing who was in school as opposed to who wasn't? Or
We bring the attendance list
Oh,
with
okay.
us to the dance.
Oh,
And we do
alright.
check. We check IDs, so we check that against the attendance list as well.
Very good, okay, because there's
Yeah,
just
we-
the activity itself, so
yeah,
overwhelming.
we do check. We do
Good.
check. We check the IDs as they come in, so.
Very good. I also like the forms that, I know that, believe they've been in, this isn't the first year they've been in the, I think I'm referencing the right handbook. Page 66, hang on.
There are some forms in the appendix.
It's for the,
The harassment and bullying.
that's it,
forms.
yes. On page 66, I think there's just a minor typo I just wanted to bring to your attention, if you haven't caught it yourself.
Yeah, I've caught some as I read through it again
Okay.
today, so, but I'd like to know which.
No,
one.
no, yeah, page 66, I think the second sentence up is supposed to be tagged on to, as opposed to harassment, discrimination. I think it needs to be brought up to the next,
Oh,
the
there
above
was
sentence.
Oh,
A
yes,
carriage
okay.
return that
Yes.
needs to be
I see
deleted.
that.
I just wanted to, it's my type A person, I'm sorry.
Okay, I see.
But
Yes.
I do like how these forms are a part of the handbook and easily accessible. So, thank you very much. Bring it.
Any other questions or comments? No? We've got a couple people in the audience. Anybody? No. All right. I think seeing no questions or comments, I think we're good on the high school handbook. Thank you very much, Mrs. Peters.
Thank you.
Mrs. Gerard, the middle school handbook, please.
Have a list of our highlights, and actual pages associated with that, so.
Thank you.
So we've spent a considerable amount of time, the second half of the year, the Student Handbook Committee got together quite frequently to really assess the handbook and make some adjustments, particularly as it pertains to the student discipline rubric, but I can go through kind of some of the policies. Obviously, on the title page, we're updating some things as personnel changes, and we've added the electronic emergency information as we're asking parents to update through Aspen. We didn't have that in the handbook before, so we added that in. We included student attendance, child requiring assistance, and truancy information, so the parents are aware of those expectations. We also, on page 36, added the electronic device policy that was adopted by the school committee. We ensured on 43 to 47 that the student discipline definitions as associated with like 37H, 37H and a half, and 37H and 3/4 were the accurate definitions, particularly as it pertains to the due process of student rights, so that there was not always accurate. So we made sure that was in fact accurate. I'm going to skip over 47 to 54 for a moment. We also added the social media policy as adopted by the school committee, as well as the alcohol use and drug and alcohol abuse policies as adopted by the school committee. I think previously we had maybe an older policy and made sure that we had all the most up-to-date and current policies as adopted by the school committee. Most of our work was done on pages 47 to 54. There were some incongruent policies depending on the perspective of who was handling it. For example, an obscenity was a 3-day suspension, but vulgar and inappropriate language was a 2-day detention. So we kind of tried to streamline all of that and make sure that we're accurate across the board. The committee worked really hard to kind of categorize some of the infractions against the 4 Rs. It didn't really kind of all come together, so they categorized it in the areas of safety, teaching and learning, and citizenship. We've had a lot of discussions at the second half of the year, and we'll continue to do next year about PBIS and looking about how we kind of execute student discipline and how we work with our students. And so I think this is very much a living, breathing document for us. And as we kind of get more into the PBIS portions of student positive reinforcement, as much as Ms. Peters said, really looking at how we encourage positive behavior and although we do have to talk about consequences, that shouldn't be a focal point for us. And again, some of the wording, we wanted some clarity on the wording about what each infraction was. So that was where the vast majority of our work was, and that was a lot of meaningful conversation. We did bring the student handbook before the whole faculty, so they know the adjustments on the discipline end of things as well, so they were supportive of that.
Any questions or comments on the middle school handbook?
I think that was a very, excuse me, forgive me.
Go ahead.
I apologize. I thought it was a very thoughtful way or approach, actually, to focus on this area with regards to the 3 Rs that, at the middle. I think that was a great, I just wanted to say that just simply say that, what a great approach to address this and to try to clarify it better.
Right.
But be able to have students also and staff related to the 3 Rs that they've all adopted as well. I think
Right.
that's great to tie it in.
The committee was really thoughtful about a lot of those pieces, so that was really important to them, so.
Very good.
Great, thank you. All right, seeing no further questions and comments, thank you very much for your presentation. All right, our next item of business is the fiscal year 16 quarterly financial report, and I believe we will hear from Mr. Ruggiero.
Thank you. In front of you is the financial report as it's do it on June 13th. Again, this is not the final report. We still have, I think this week's our last payroll, but we still have some more days in June that will get booked to this fiscal year, as well as some cleanup that we have to do. So there's still a lot of activity that will go on. So again, this isn't the final report, but as of June 13th, we had spent or encumbered $36,183,275, and we're in the black by $14,281. But again, that number will change. It will be in the black when all things are said and done, so don't worry about that. But there's still activity going on. We have warrants. You signed a bunch of warrants. We still have quite a bit of activity going on, so.
Great, thank you. Any questions, comments? No? No? Okay, thank you very much. Public comment. Crickets, all right. Okay. Other reports from our subcommittees. Mrs. Bonish, anything?
No, I mean, we had the facility plan meeting, which,
Okay.
you know, it's a public meeting, some people came, but, and we're going to be having that all
Yes.
committee.
July 29th, June 29th, June 29th, which is next Wednesday, at the middle school auditorium at 7 o'clock, I believe is the start time, will be the community forum, public meeting where the facility master plan, sort of preliminary results and the opportunity for the community to comment will occur.
Great, thank you.
And I guess if you think that there may be a quorum, just let us know and we'll post you for that, even just to be on the safe side, but.
Yeah, I know I can't make it either.
I'm going to try. I'll
You're
see
gonna
what I can-
try.
see what I can do.
Okay, maybe
But it
I'll.
doesn't sound like you might have a quorum,
Yeah,
so
I
yeah.
don't, I think we'd be
Okay.
close. The only other thing I was going to mention, I think it's possible that the policy subcommittee might need to meet at some point. Okay, you already are aware of that. We received the legal alert from MASC, just a reminder to make sure that our policies reflect the new Mass General Law as it relates to opioid use.
Yeah, there's a couple regarding the
Okay.
requirements to have a substance abuse prevention program within, a policy and program within, or a policy on providing substance abuse prevention education in the schools. There's a couple of others as well. I know we talked a bit about Narcan and policies, and there is now a recommended policy out there on Narcan, so we'll probably bring that before the subcommittee as well. I think
Okay.
there might be one or two others that are on the radar.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Any other subcommittee reports? No, I think we're good there. Correspondence? No. All right. Flying right through this tonight. Future meeting dates and agenda items. We have one more school committee meeting that will be this coming Monday, the 27th. That should be a brief meeting. And then we take a little break over the summer, and we will be meeting again on August 24th. And that'll be our first school committee meeting for the new school year, as we have done in the past. We're going to do that more of a retreat workshop style, a little more informal, and yet still be a public meeting. And with that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn. Mrs. Bonish, Mr. Talbot, Mrs. Burns, I think we're all set. Thank you very much and good evening.